Welcome to Concept 2 Notes. We're going to be talking about current. In class, we're going to start off with a little inquiry activity, which I think will be fun. But let's just keep going with the notes. So current, I love this picture. It's so pretty. Okay, what is it? I put electric current here so that you know we're specifically talking about electricity here. And hopefully you realize that since this is a unit on electricity and magnetism, we're not talking about current as in what's going on nowadays or current as in water current. We're talking about electricity here. It's represented in an equation by a capital I. And current is the net movement of electric charges in a single direction. Another way to define it is the rate at which charge will flow past a point in a circuit. And it's measured in amperes, which can be abbreviated as a capital A. And a little fun fact, 1 ampere, just to give you some context, is equal to 1 coulomb of electric charge flowing past a point every second, which is equal to 6.24 times 10 to the 18th electrons flowing past a point every second. And if you're like, 6.24 times 10 to the 18th means nothing to me, that is 6,240 million billion electrons flowing past a point every second. And that's just in 1 ampere, okay? So it's a lot. And how are those electrons moving? How are they flowing? I like to think of it as them traveling like a bunch of bouncy balls thrown down a staircase. So picture if I had 6,240 million billion bouncy balls and we walked into the top of a second floor staircase in school or in a hotel or something like that, and we just threw them down. That's how it would look. These electrons, as they're flowing in a current, in a wire, they're bouncing randomly and chaotically with no, clear direction. And they won't move in a clear direction unless there's a force pushing them to do so. They won't have a net directional movement unless something, which we'll learn is voltage difference, pushes them to do so. Okay, so what is voltage difference? Voltage difference, represented by a capital V in an equation, is the push. It's that force that causes charges to move. It's what gets those electrons that are bouncing around crazily to flow in one overall net direction. Voltage difference is measured in volts, which is also represented by a capital V, so that makes that simple. And it causes these charges, they will flow from high voltage areas to low voltage areas. So think about it like they're going down a slide. They'll go from where there's a lot of voltage to an area where there's low voltage. That's how the charges will flow. The larger the difference, the greater the current. So think about it. Think about a slide. The steeper the slide, the greater the difference between the top of the slide and the bottom of the slide, the faster you're going to go down it. If it's more shallow, if it's not a very big difference between the top and bottom, you won't go very fast. You won't flow very greatly. That's the same with current. The greater that voltage difference, the greater the current. Okay, so how is it flowing? Well, it's going to flow in a circuit, hopefully. A circuit is a closed path that an electric current can flow through. And this is necessary in order for electric charges to move. So in a circuit, we need a couple of things. First, it has to be a closed circuit. So look at these two pictures. Notice in both of these, okay, this is a battery. This is the power source. That's what's creating the voltage difference. We'll talk more about that in a second. It's creating the push that's causing the charges to move. And then we've got wire, which is conducting, going to conduct our current, conduct our electrons, our flow. And then notice these two, the difference between these two pictures. In this one, the switch is open, and this one, the switch is closed. Notice when the switch is open, the light bulb is not lit. Current is not flowing. But when it's closed and there's not going to be a break in the pathway that the electrons are traveling down, the light bulb will light up. So if the switch is open, current will not flow. If it's closed, current will flow. And then again, this is a key part of the circuit. This is the battery. So in a circuit, you really need three things. You need the power source, the battery. You need the wire or whatever the conductor is that the current is going to be conducted through, and then it has to be closed in order for it actually to be a complete path that the current can flow through. Out of the battery one direction where the high voltage is, and then into the battery through the other direction where the low voltage is, okay? So let's talk more about that battery. A battery is a device that converts chemical energy to electrical energy. So inside of that battery, there's a chemical reaction happening that's creating the voltage difference between the positive and negative terminals of the battery. And when that difference is created, and when those terminals are connected, we said by a conductor, by a wire, then that voltage difference is going to be able to push that current through the wire. Okay, that's what pushes it. It pushes the electrons out of the negative end of the battery and towards the positive terminal of the battery. Because remember, you're moving from high voltage areas to low voltage areas. So they travel out of the negative terminal through the circuit towards the positive terminal. The more electrons that the negative terminal has compared to the positive terminal, the higher its voltage. And remember, the greater that difference, the greater the push is going to be of the current out of the batteries. Now, I have to tell you one little thing here before we move on, so I don't get comments and messages about how that explanation is wrong. There are some nuances to how we describe the direction of current. So I have an article linked. It's from Physics Classroom. It's called Conventional Current Direction. But this can majorly confuse students and confuse listeners, any of you listening. So that's why I don't get into it. I'm going to explain it in the simplest way possible, which is this. But you can look up that article. Teachers, if you have my notes, it's in the notes section of the PowerPoint. If not, you can just Google that, Conventional Current Direction Physics Classroom, and read it. But for our purposes, this is the simplest way to explain it. And this is what I want you to know if you're listening and you're in my class. Okay, now, there are things that can cause current to not flow easily despite having a voltage difference in a circuit, and that is resistance. So resistance in an equation is represented by a capital R. It's the tendency of a material to oppose the flow of electrons through it. So the greater the resistance, the greater the opposition there is to electrons and current flowing. It is measured in ohms, which is represented by this little omega sign, which I absolutely love. And it's affected by 4 factors. Material. So an insulator is going to have more resistance than a conductor. That just makes sense based on what we learned in concept 1. The size of the wire. So the smaller the wire's diameter, so the skinnier it is, the thinner it is, the more resistance there will be. Which, think about it. Current would have to be being shoved through this really skinny wire, as opposed to if it's a wider wire with a greater diameter, the current will be able to flow more easily. Also, the length of the wire. The longer the wire, the more the resistance, because the current's having to flow farther than if it's a shorter wire. And then also the temperature of the wire. The higher the temperature, the more resistance there is. If you remember from our energy unit, temperature is the average kinetic energy of particles in an object. Remember, I told you how electrons move. Like if I threw those 6,240 million billion electrons as bouncy balls down a staircase, they're moving crazily, okay? So think, if we're going to increase the temperature, we're going to increase the kinetic energy, the movement of those electrons, which is going to make them bounce even crazier, and that's going to create more resistance. It's going to make it harder for them to flow. Oftentimes, when circuits are built, resistors are things that are objects that are intentionally added to the circuit to resist the flow of electrons, so that, the current can be more controlled. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for there to be resistance. Electrical engineers actually use resistors to reduce current in parts of circuits and things like that. If you've ever used your laptop for a really long time, or especially if it's an older laptop or something like that, and or your Chromebook, and it's been sitting on your lap, you might notice that the result of resistance is the conversion of electrical energy to thermal energy, and your lap gets warm from the laptop. So that all has to do with resistance. So I've introduced you to V, voltage difference. I've introduced you to I, current, and R, resistance. So most likely you've predicted we've got a little equation here that we need to know, and that's Ohm's law. Ohm's law just kind of summarizes the relationship between these three things. It's the amount, and it tells us that the amount of current is directly proportional to the voltage difference, okay? It's written as I equals VR. The higher the voltage, the higher the current, which we know, remember we talked about the slide, the greater that voltage difference, the greater that potential difference, the greater the faster you'll go, the greater the current. And then also the lower the resistance. If there's less resistance, the current will be higher. Now, I find that this equation and this arrangement is a little bit trickier to work with. So if you're in my class, I'm going to always write the equation for you this way. So I just rearranged that for you. I just multiplied both sides by R to get V equals IR. That's how it's going to look on our reference sheet. If you have a different teacher, they might only give you I equals V over R, which is totally fine. But I like this one because I think it's just a simpler starting place for doing calculations with Ohm's law. So remember that V stands for voltage difference. It's measured in V, which is volts. The I stands for current, which is measured in amperes, which is really abbreviated by capital A, which I'll correct that here too. Some people might say amps, amperes, but it's a capital A. And then the R represents resistance, which is measured in ohms, which is that omega symbol, which is just fun to draw. All right, let's do an example. What is the voltage difference in a copper wire if a current of 0.8 amps or amperes is flowing through it? The resistance of the wire is 10 ohms. Okay, so first, we always do radar. We ask ourselves, what are we looking for? We are looking for voltage. What do we know? We know that the current is 0.8 amps, and we know that the resistance in the wire is 10 ohms. Now, we have to diagnose what equation will help us with this. Well, Ohm's law, V equals IR. Now, we've done all our background work. Now, we're going to plug in and simply assess. We're going to solve the problem. So, V equals I, which is 0.8, times R, which is 10. And then you plug that in your calculator and you get that the voltage difference, the potential difference, the voltage is 8 volts. Okay? Easy peasy. Now we're going to do some examples some practice in class. I'm not going to show you the answers because I don't want you to have those, because I want you to actually try these. And then we're going to do even more practice together so you'll be ready to knock this out. And that's it. That's concept 2, current.